Thank you to Noble Gold Investments for sponsoring this video. Houthi rebels have hijacked their 5th ship since the Reign of Terror began 2 months ago. And emboldened by their success of capturing this 5th supply ship, they've decided to expand operations, as an organization will do when it doesn't meet resistance, to begin capturing Somali fishing boats, in this case, a dhow. Now, a dhow is simply a large fishing boat that smaller fishing boats often bring their fish back to, so they don't have to go back to the beach every time they fill up their little canoe with fish. The dhow will process the fish for the fishing group that's with them and all go back together to the market to sell the fish. Now, those ships are being targeted by the freaking Houthis. Yeah, so that one's been captured now in the Gulf of Aden. So it's clear that the mask has come off. They're not just targeting ships that have affiliation with Israel. They're literally attacking anybody that they think they can get at this point. And because of actions like the 5th shipping hijack to happen, China's Costco has announced today that they are ceasing shipments to Israel, completely stopping them. And they're also in discussions for a structured payment plan to Yemen, to the Houthi rebels, to allow their ships to pass Yemen without being targeted. Just because they're stopping shipping to Israel, they ship to other countries that use the Red Sea. Now, China's very clear here that this is not a bribe. Oh, no. This is a structured payment plan to the Houthi rebels so that their ships may pass without being targeted. Completely different than a bribe. Meanwhile, global shipping costs are skyrocketing, uncertainty and insecurity are growing. And that's why if you're trying to navigate the marketplace turbulence right now, why not set your course to Noble Gold Investments Safe Haven? With global uncertainty looming, your savings and retirement plans are under siege. But there's one asset that has stood the test of time, and it's gold. Unlock the peace of mind that comes with owning gold, the ultimate safe haven. And if precious metals are new to you, as there are many, Noble Gold Investments will hold your hand through the whole process. They have a team of experts who will guide you every step of the way to safety. Thousands of investors have sheltered retirement savings with Noble Gold Investments. Don't leave yourself exposed to markets right now. It's way too risky. With gold at an all-time high and looking to climb farther, it's the perfect time. Open a Noble Gold Investment IRA to secure your future with a free gold bullion coin. Act now before it's too late. I want you to call 877-646-5347 and claim your free coin before it's gone. Click the link in the description to visit noblegoldinvestments.com/subbrief right now. Noblegoldinvestments.com is the only gold company I trust. The Indian Navy has come a long way. I remember some 10 years ago, and it might be 15 now, where they did not execute a proper dive lineup on their ballistic missile submarine. So when they submerged from a surface position, it flooded out partially, nearly sinking the whole damn thing. And it was a great embarrassment to the Indian Navy at that time. And they lost a lot of respect. And they have been working hard, diligently, for over a decade now to improve their seamanship, their ships being mostly indigenously built now instead of bought from foreign countries like Russia. They used to buy something. They still do. Anyway, the point is they've come a long way. And what they've done here in the Red Sea is they've conducted an at-sea capture of a hijacked Liberian-flagged cargo ship called Leila Norfolk. Now, this is a very hazardous operation and is something the U.S. Navy hasn't even done in the Red Sea. So this all began with a 24-hour confrontation between the Indian Navy and this hijacked cargo ship with the crew, somewhere on board and hijackers controlling the ship. They shadowed the ship. The Indian destroyer shadowed the ship for a number of hours. I assume radio communication was at least attempted at this time. But in the end, when it was daylight, the Indian Navy sent a boarding party to the ship. And this is extremely hazardous here. overhead, that you don't see in the video here, there's an Indian Navy P-8 Poseidon maritime patrol aircraft. That's one of the new American ones that's used for surveillance, and it's probably coordinating this entire effort. There's also helicopter airborne assets involved in the retaking of this ship. And here you can see the Indian boarding party going up to where I believe the bridge is at the top there and retaking control of the ship. It was found that the hijackers had abandoned the ship before this attempt was made. So they were no longer on board and thus were not captured. I assume the hijackers left before the Indian destroyer got on site, because once the destroyer's there with helicopters overhead, nobody's getting on and off this ship without being detected. Bottom line is, despite them escaping, this is a fantastic operation. There were no casualties. The crew was saved. The ship is back under control of the civilian crew and is being taken to a port to assess the situation on board there. So well done. This is something the United States Navy did not do recently here in the Red Sea. The Indian Navy is taking action right now, and they deserve a lot of credit for this operation. Well done. Hopefully this brings an end to hijacking these ships. We'll see. All right. So now the U.S. Navy is doing a great job. I want to reiterate this. The problems I have with what's going on in the Red Sea stem from the White House and the executive branch, not from the Navy. The Navy's doing great. They're doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing, and that's following orders. Or sometimes we don't like the orders that we get. Let's take a look at the Western Pacific here. The American Amphibious Ready Group, that's with the Marine Corps there. They're forward deployed to Japan, so it's kind of their home port, but they're in port right now. Just doing some training, maintenance, cleaning the guns, making sure everything's ready to go for the next deployment. They're also there with the Reagan Carrier Strike Group. She's forward deployed to Japan as well, in port, doing the same thing. So a lot of R&R happening along with the maintenance and training. The Carl Vinson Carrier Strike Group is in Manila this week. Last week, she was in the South China Sea with the Philippine Navy conducting operations together. Fleet operations with air operations for deconfliction. The more we work together with countries like Japan and the Philippines and Korea and Australia and everyone else, the better we get at working together. And that's what that was all about. Now they're in port together, getting some time off, I'm sure, as well as doing maintenance and training. And this is what I brought up in a previous video. Something I love about the Navy, and we on Submarines did this too, is when we work with other nations, at some point we're going to pull in and share a port together. You're going to be able to meet those crewmen, officers, enlisted. It doesn't really matter. You just go out and have a good time and get to know who you're working with. And that really solidifies that bond of not only did we do a mission and do something really special together, we're also having a good time, and it's memories that you'll keep the rest of your life. That's happening right now between the United States Navy and the Philippine Navy, and I love to see it. I hope it continues. USNS, that's the support ship Mercy, hospital ship, is north of New Guinea. Not 100% sure what's going on there. So if anyone is familiar with the Mercy's current mission, she's a hospital ship. She saves lives. They deserve more credit here. I just can't find what they're doing right now. So if anyone knows, send me an email or leave a comment, and we'll get that into the next video. Okay. This is a great photo of a machinist mate inspecting a fuel oil purifier, part of the Carl Vinson Carrier Strike Group, while they're in port. This is what being in the Navy is like. So you're going at sea, you're working that 24-hour schedule that you're a part of, and then you pull into port, and sometimes you're exhausted, but this is where the maintenance happens. This is where the engine room, in this case, is depressurized because it's not running anything. They isolate certain systems like this fuel oil system, apparently, and then they can take apart things like the purifier filter and inspect it, and then replace parts that need to be replaced, because a big part of keeping a ship functional at sea is replacing parts before they break. That's so important. You don't wait till they break and then replace them, because you're often going to be at sea when that happens. So each part has an expected lifespan, and they replace it before that expected lifespan is up. And that's part of what he's doing here. He's conducting an inspection of this fuel oil purifier. So good job to the machinist mate there. Well done. I don't have his name, or else I'd give him name credit. Let's head over to the Red Sea and talk about Ike. So Ike is in the Red Sea, doing their best to protect what shipping they can. Here they are doing a RAS, a replenishment at sea, with a tactical oiler here. And the carrier right there, you see all the crew members on board. They're pulling some kind of guideline. Those guys in the blue and green, and the yellow is the supervisor there. They're pulling a line on board. Now, a question I often get about nuclear aircraft carriers is why in the world are they taking on fuel oil here? And that's a fair question. The answer is right there. That's the rear end of an F-18, and they run off of fuel. They're not nuclear powered, so they need to have fuel oil for the airplanes. There's also other systems on board, including diesel generators that use fuel. And a big thing, the carrier will become the fleet oiler if the fleet oiler is not available, whether it's being sunk, disabled, or it's just going to get more gas and coming back to the fleet as fast as it can. During the period where the fleet oiler is gone, the carrier can supply fuel oil and other things to the rest of the fleet around it to keep it at sea. So this is a very a common operation. I'm going to try and stop using the word routine because I keep getting emails from everybody out there in Navy leadership telling me that there's no such thing as a routine operation at sea, and you're 100% right. I will get better. I'll stop saying the word. This is something they do frequently, and it's stressful as hell. So I want to give some credit to the throttlemen. What you don't see in this picture right now is there's a throttleman on this ship and a throttleman on the carrier, probably more than one on the carrier, that are being told, hey, make 8.5 turns on the shaft. And they're on sound-powered phones. And then every few seconds, make 8.6 turns on the shaft. And what they're trying to do is they're just getting that speed between these two ships perfectly synced in a dynamic moving ocean. It's very hard to do. It's very stressful, and it takes a lot of concentration and paying attention to your gauges and your indications. And this can go on for a while too. So it's a very stressful time. So credit to all the throttlemen out there. You guys deserve more credit than you get. Anyway, that's a little bit of what's going on here, stuff that you don't even see in the pictures. Let's go to the Mediterranean, folks, talk about USS Bataan. So the USS Bataan and Carter Hall have been working together for 8 months now. They are in the Mediterranean now with a 26th Marine Expeditionary Unit, maybe evacuating Lebanon, I don't know. But they're with the USS Mesa Verde, and this is the first time all three ships from this ARG have been together in many, many months. So it's a full-strength ARG, just keeping, watching security, maintaining security in that region of the world. And we'll see what comes from this. The Bataan, Carter Hall have been at sea for 8 months, or close to 8 months now. I think it's 7 months actually. And they're the next in line to come home, next in rotation. So we expect them to follow the Gerald R. Ford across the Atlantic here soon at some point. A lot of people have asked, why wasn't the Ford Carrier Strike Group replaced with another Carrier Strike Group? The answer is, well, maybe we didn't have one available, or this ARG is extremely capable and can do a lot of the things that the Carrier Strike Group can do, including additional capabilities ashore that the CSG could do in a limited fashion, but this one is much more amphibious than the Carrier Strike Group is. So there's different capabilities here. You could argue that it's not as strong, of course, because it's not an aircraft carrier with that many air squadrons on board, but it's still an enormous overmatch for anybody in the theater right there. So credit to these Marines, sailors that are staying at sea. Something I was wondering, this is a question for the chat here. I've never served on a ship like this. I was on submarines, right? What in the world does a Marine do for 8 months at sea when he's not cleaning his weapon, metaphorically, or pulling into a Liberty port? What fills that other 6 months of time? Like, I'm just curious as to what they do. I imagine they're doing a lot of running and push-ups, but there's even limits to that, right? You have to do something after the push-ups are done. What does the Marine Corps do on board a ship for 8 months? Yeah, put that down in the comments. I'd appreciate that. All right, Gerald R. Ford is on her way back to the East Coast. By the time you see this, she should be back in port. We try not to put this information out too far in advance for you guys for obvious reasons, but know that she is coming back. Oh, credit to the United States Naval Institute, by the way, for this graphic, of course. And let's take a look at the USS Boxer over there off the coast of San Diego. What is she doing? Well, she's doing some amphibious training. This appears to be pre-deployment training to me. She has an embarked Marine Corps Expeditionary Unit, or at least part of it, on board, doing amphibious simulations and operations off the ship. So this is basically going to replace what the USS Bataan has been doing all last year. I think this year we'll be seeing this ship a lot on this channel. We'll be following her throughout her deployment and find out, what does the Marine Corps do for 6 months while underway? Maybe we'll feature something like that. All right. Well, Thanks for watching, everybody. And remember to call the number 877-646-5347 to claim your free coin before it's gone. Or visit noblegoldinvestments.com/subbrief. Now, noblegoldinvestments.com, the only gold company I trust.